everyone, and welcome to the Burgess podcast, the show where we are opening up conversations about life at sea, discussing hot topics within the industry, as well as offering mental health support and promoting well-being for crew. We also have our very own in-house recruitment team, so if you or anyone you know is currently looking for a new position, please send your updated CV to recruitment@burgessyachts.com or check out our recruitment posts on Instagram @Burgess Yacht Crew.
The Burgess Crew Sustainability podcast series is here usually to open up a conversation on how we can reduce our environmental impact. And we've got to be clear, we don't have all the answers. However, today and in this instance, we may just have a brilliant answer for you. We're here today with two members of the fantastic Ethereal Blooms team, a company that offers a fascinating and frankly mind-blowing product, biologically preserved flower arrangements that can last a season and more on board yachts and look as stunning and as fresh as the day they were picked in full bloom. And that's all done without chemicals. So I'm delighted to introduce co-founder Erni Visser and head of their yacht division, Jo Hirst. And quite a lot of learning has gone on in the last year or so, I have to say, as we have got to know you. And we have been fascinated by what we've uncovered with the team at Ethereal Blooms. So Jo, Erni, when we first teamed up last year in 2023, a few months before the Monaco Yacht Show, you were a team of 6 in total. And since then, you've gone from Jo doing yachts on her own to a whole yacht division of 5 people. And where you were really UK based, you are now spread from the US and Europe all the way to the Middle East and Dubai.
And sorry to interrupt here, but actually we are now on board 100 yachts as well.
100. Fantastic. I did not know that. Huge congratulations, ladies. So that's in a year. That is phenomenally fast growth, because when we were talking last year, I seem to remember we were counting the yachts almost on one hand. And I know from the work that we're doing that you are now counting some very big and high profile yachts among your customer base, aren't you? So for anyone listening, you don't just need my opinion. Listen to the data. The stats in this case speak for themselves. So in a nutshell, what do you do and why does everyone love it so much?
So we are a luxury floristry company. We specialise in real flowers and foliage. All of the flowers and foliage that we use have been treated to last up to a season, sometimes a little bit longer. We use the flowers and the foliage to arrange into bouquets that we make for yachts, as well as many other different companies. And the whole premise of the company and the reason that we started the company is that we really wanted to create a sustainable but beautiful floral solution for an industry that was otherwise incredibly wasteful. And I would say that we've really established ourselves in the market doing exactly that. So, Jo will go a little bit more into how we work with yachts, but we also work with a lot of companies all over the world. So some of the companies that we've worked with a great deal are Harrods, De Beers, One Hyde Park, Rolex, Prada, Selfridges, the Mandarin Oriental. Sort of the list at this point sort of goes on and on. So it's been super exciting up until this point.
That is an absolutely fantastic set of names to name check. So Jo, talk to us about arrangements on yachts.
So for yacht, they just solve so many problems on board. And as an ex-Jew, I have firsthand experience of some of the challenges. But the biggest comment by far that we're getting from stewardesses is that they save you so much time. So, the purser, the chief stew, they're no longer wasting time researching and provisioning from unknown florists and unknown destinations with sometimes, frankly, shocking results. No more tender runs to collect the flowers. You don't have to prep them on board in whatever space you have. There's been plenty of times I've been prepping flowers on the floor in the corridor, for example, and then storing them in the bin fridge. I think we've all been there. You're not changing out dead flowers during the trip. You don't have to change the water every other day. That job is just gone, and that's valuable time that you get back. And it also takes the risk away from moving those sometimes incredibly expensive and valuable vases to the sink for the water change. That's also something I can attest to being a very nerve-wracking job when you know that this vase costs like £15,000. We also know that for the owners, the captain, the management companies, it's the cost savings. That's where they really get excited. So we're talking around 50 to 75% of the usual floral spend is saved by switching to preserved flowers. It's a larger output at the beginning of the season, but you only do it once. And flowers last all season, but sometimes they're lasting longer. And the bigger the boat, the bigger the savings. And that hasn't even touched on the sustainability wins yet. Those are all just the practical wins. With more and more crew becoming sustainable minded, as you know, Georgina, more crew are looking for quick and easy ways to make that switch that isn't going to involve sending the boat to the yard for 5 years to get a new engine. You know, we're looking at quick and easy solutions to the wasteful activities on board. And this is one of those really quick switches that you can make that is both sustainable and maintains that level of luxury. Like Ernie was saying, we've got some really, really high-end brands who trust us to make their floral bouquet. So we just know it's the right level of luxury for yachts. And that's been proven through the growth that we've seen as well.
That's absolutely phenomenal. And as you say, I guess it's one of those things where it is as simple as making the switch of a supplier, a one-off change, and then you're actually sorted for a whole season, as opposed to coming into different ports and different places and looking for a new supplier each time, or calling the agent who will sort it out for you. But then you're back to colours and arrangements and styles and vases. There's a lot going on there. And Jo, you know all of this because you used to work on yachts yourself. Doesn't seem like the most logical leap going from yachts to preserved flowers. How did you two meet up?
So I actually met Ernie. We went to school together years and years ago. So we were at school together for a few years, and then I moved on, but we remained Facebook friends. And then years later, I was coming to the end of my career on board. I was on boats for about 8 years, and I was starting to think about what can I do after my career on boats that will enable me to use this knowledge that I've gathered. Like, yes, we're cleaning and we're serving, but also we're working with, you know, some of the most exclusive people on the planet. And that's something that's really worthwhile, that knowledge that we have. So I was like, how can I leave yachting but still support this industry that I love so much? And that's when I started seeing posts that Ernie was putting up on Facebook about this new company that she had created with Catherine, the other co-founder. And then I saw that they were in Harrods, and I thought, okay, now I know this is something that is like very luxurious. If Harrods are taking it, then it's got to be good. So that's at that point I reached out and I said, hey guys, like, have you thought about using these for yachts? Because there's a lot of pain points here that these will solve. And they said, yes, we have, but we've just started a business, so we don't really have time to think about that. Can you put a business proposal together? So I did some, market research, put together a proposal, showed it to them, and they said, yes, please, let's go. And that was 5 years ago.
And what a ride it has been since.
Yes.
And that's fantastic, because on a podcast we did a while ago, we sort of put the call out to crew and we said, find the problems and we will help you find the solutions. And this is totally one of those moments. It's, this alone isn't going to change the world, but actually it's going to change a lot of people's worlds on board a boat when they are trying to get through a day and deal with a busy season and a busy cruise. I remember first hearing about this and thinking, this is fascinating. And the more we looked at it, the more sort of unbelievable the product was. But it is very real and it really works. And Erni, you and Catherine also didn't really come into this from a floristry perspective, did you?
No, so we came from two completely different backgrounds. So I originally graduated from Cambridge, and then I was a veterinary surgeon, and I ran 2 hospitals in China as well as a dog shelter for 3 years. And then I moved back to the UK and worked as a vet, and that's where Catherine and I met. And during this time, Catherine, actually, she owned a luxury beauty brand, so doing eyelash extensions with a team. And even though both of us loved our previous work, we really wanted to sort of create something together that was more creative, just more sustainable, something that we could build on a more international level and really put a lot of sort of love and care into building it in that way. And that's how we came upon Preserve Floristry. So we'd known that there were methods of preserving flowers for some time, and we trained in various methods and sort of learned a little bit more. And actually, we both completely retrained as fresh florists, which I think is one of the most important things that we did do for the company, because like I said, the whole premise of Ethereal Blooms is to make sure that flowers that are preserved are put together and treated in a way and sort of artistically manipulated in some ways to look really fresh and really like sort of cutting edge and really, as luxury as the other best florists in the world. And we launched the company and we were in Harrods within 6 months, I would say. And that's pretty much when we started talking to Jo. So things happened very quickly from the moment that we opened the company.
Yeah, so we've come from yachting, from veterinary surgery, China, and a beauty business that also had a footprint in the Middle East as well.
Yes.
All coming together to create incredible preserved flower arrangements that look as fresh as the day those flowers were picked.
Yes.
And have massive impact. I mean, you see them, and it's so cool to say to someone, these flowers are real and they're going to last another 6 months, and people just don't believe you. They really don't. So how do you do it? Can you give away, trade secrets? What's the basic premise?
Well, I would say I think you can sort of break it down into two different methods that I use. So usually foliage and the flowers are treated slightly differently depending on the type. Typically, the flowers are submerged in a solution that takes out any of the water content, and then they're submerged in another solution that sort of replaces where the water content was with natural oils. So they stay soft and supple, and they feel fresh as well, which we always find very important because people are quite tactile about flowers, as well as them being a visual sort of piece that you have. And that process in itself can take between 3 and 4 weeks typically. And the foliage is treated ever so slightly differently. So we place the foliage in a solution, it uptakes the solution as it photosynthesizes. And then again, it's a solution made of natural oils. So the foliage also retains that kind of vibrant look as well as the soft and supple feeling.
And I think that's one of the coolest parts about it, is that we actually use photosynthesis in the process. So it really is a mixture of nature's processes and futuristic science. That's why we kind of call it biopreservation, because, it is something that is marrying those two worlds to create something that brings us into the future of floristry.
It's absolutely incredible, yeah. It's something that we're so used to seeing, that's so beautiful, but when you scratch beneath the surface, it really is something different. It's quite hard to get your head around when you're just touching them going, but they're real.
Mm-hmm. That's my favorite conversation to have with people. And the best thing to do is just show them to people and say, this is 6 months old. And that's it. Like, that's the whole pitch, because that's enough for people to do a double take and start asking questions and being like, what do you mean? How can this be possible? And it's really exciting. It actually gives me goosebumps, like having that conversation, because you can feel the energy and the excitement that the stewardesses feel. The first time I showed them to people, this one stewardess was like, please, can I hug you? It was during COVID, so I was like, no, but I appreciate the sentiment.
And people now talk about actually upgrading to you, don't they?
Yes.
Upgrading what they do
That
to
was
what
really
you
nice.
do.
Yeah, we had a really great testimonial recently from Yacht Nero, which is actually a Burgess boat, and they had said that we upgraded all of our bouquets, and I thought that was a very nice way to describe it, and I would agree.
Yeah.
Of course.
So let's follow that thread through a bit, because people don't think too much about sort of the impact of floristry, and frankly, if I'm honest, this could be one of those slightly awkward conversations. I mean, I don't want to go around talking down beautiful flower arrangements. People love giving flowers, people love receiving flowers, and you can't beat anyone up for wanting to have flower arrangements in their home or the yacht or their office. But this is actually a way to get the job done without anyone having to feel bad about it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not trying to yuck anybody's yum here. We want you to enjoy flowers. We want you to have something beautiful to look at in the middle of a long charter season. Flowers are the thing that you walk past that make you smile when you're having a hard day. So we're absolutely not trying to make people feel bad, but it would be excellent to educate people about some of the ways in which the fresh flower industry kind of flies under the radar, because it is actually one of the worst industries in terms of the CO2 emissions per product.
So we can kind of go into some of the statistics and maybe just a bit of an explanation as to why sort of those statistics come about. And typically the thing that people don't think about is that fresh flowers are normally grown mostly in really resource heavy environments, so where they're watered, often in greenhouses, they have pesticides, they have a lot of different people working in the areas. Then they're cut and they're often transported through really long, complicated cold chain transport journeys. So they are flown mostly in refrigerated aeroplanes and sometimes shipped, but not often because they would often die on the journeys. So even just a shipping journey on the planes can take 2 to 4 days. Then they arrive at a distributor. So that could be florists, supermarkets, wholesalers that then continue to sell those on. And actually, 45% of flowers that are shipped are wasted or die before they even make it to their destination.
45%.
Absolutely. And again, it's something that we don't really think about when it comes to flowers. We talk a lot about fast fashion and a lot of other sort of sustainably driven industries, but because flowers are beautiful and natural, then people make the assumption that they're sustainable.
And we know from a study that the environmental impact of just one supermarket bouquet, the ones you see at Tesco's or Trader Joe's, is estimated at 32 kilograms of CO2 emissions in its journey from field to florist to vase. So to put that into perspective, a flight from London to Paris generates 58 kilograms of CO2 per economy passenger. So that's just 2 bouquets. 2 bouquets is more than one short haul flight. That's the type of emissions we're talking about.
And when you first told me that stat, it blew my mind. It blew my colleagues' minds. And we were going, no, come on, show us the detail. We need that study. This is so hard to believe.
What you were saying, Jo, so it's 2 bouquets per flight, but if 45% of those bouquets don't even make it to the end destination, then it's actually 1 bouquet per flight when it comes down to it.
And this is why we kind of are telling yachts that you can reduce your boat's CO2 emissions vastly if you are replacing them every week, which I know isn't necessarily always the case. But if you have a liveaboard owner, or if you're doing flowers for the estate and they have to have fresh flowers constantly, you're looking at reducing your boat's CO2 emissions from floral decor by up to 90%. Because if you keep them all year, that's 1 replacement instead of 52. It can be enormous. And when you think about, let's say a 50-meter super yacht, you've probably got 8 to 10 arrangements on board, and maybe you have 6 to 8 charters per season. So now multiply that by the whole industry. It's huge.
It is huge. So switching from fresh flowers that you're bringing on board and constantly looking after and turning over is going to reduce those emissions by how much?
We say up to 90%.
Which is phenomenal. Now, let's be honest, we are still talking about the yachting industry. So to those people who are going to say, all right, yes, I get it, that's a big reduction. But in the grand scheme of things, we're still burning fuel. We are still moving large vessels from A to B. How do we turn those heads? Then we start talking costs, don't we? And how do the costs weigh up?
Yeah, and that's where some of the practical benefits that I had mentioned before really come to the forefront. So, you're saving time, you're saving money. We're saying 50 to 75% of the usual floral costs. That's what we hear back from stews. When you have testimonials from captains saying we saved thousands, like I'm a complete convert. Like we said, it is a bigger investment up front than you would be typically used to paying. But when you do the math over the season, you've saved an enormous amount of money. And also, let's be real, time is money.
Yep.
So if you're not wasting your time provisioning flowers, which, are arriving damaged, that especially in the Caribbean, we know, like, you get flowers from a florist that you've never used before in the Bahamas and they're dead by day 3. And now you're stuck with this 1 to 2 week charter and dead or dying flowers. It's kind of awkward. And then you're stressing and trying to find replacements or trying to find ways to make them look better. There's just so many practical benefits. And even though, yes, we're not talking about changing the fuel, we're not talking about some of those things that can make a huge dent. I think that you've said this before, Georgina, it's the 1 degree changes. They're all going to add up. And if you're switching out plastic on board, why not switch out the flowers?
Or actually, I'll tell you something, switching out the flowers is going to be far easier than getting rid of all the single-use plastic.
Yeah. The last little part of that too is, I think you've got the cost element and the sustainability element, but I think what's really important in the yachting industry, and again, something that we've tried to achieve as a company, is these vessels are really sort of perfectly styled. The decoration is absolutely key. And what we really try and focus on with Ethereal Blooms is that all of the flowers that we make for yachts are made for those specific yachts, for those specific interiors. So they last, and they are specifically designed to go with the decor, with the ambience of the yacht itself as well, or of the room that they're in. So like Jo was saying, if you're getting flowers from the local florist, the flowers may be beautiful, but they may not match well, or they may die. So you also have that component that you've got this consistency of something that looks perfectly matched to where it's meant to be. And that's something that we really try and give that level of service across the board, in addition to all of the other benefits as well. And I think that's quite an important point, or something that really drives us as well, is that sort of aesthetic point.
Certainly, absolutely.
I think you can also actually compare our flowers more to like a semi-permanent ornament in that sense. It's almost like a piece of art on the wall. And actually, one of our favorite things to do is we often ask, like, send us a picture of the room. And if there is a beautiful piece of art on the wall, we want to make sure that what we're creating complements that.
I honestly know from the work we've done together in the past year, your attention to detail, your drive to get things absolutely right, to really serve clients at the highest level is phenomenal. So before we move on to a final bit about the Monaco Yacht Show, the key takeaways here really are we've got a truly luxury product with a truly luxury service and an experience curated specifically for you on board by people who understand what you need and the unique environment that you're having to operate in, which is not an easy one, let's be honest. But this is also a super fast, super simple way to make a change to your environmental footprint right now, straight away. You don't need to wait for anything. The technology is here, available right now. And it's going to take you less work. You're going to halve your floristry bill at a minimum. That's a conservative estimate. And you're going to spend far less time sourcing flowers, creating arrangements, maintaining them during a trip. You're going to use no water and music to the ears of the chef and the interior team. You're going to get your cold storage back.
Yeah.
So that's why we're quite excited about you at Burgess. Just another discovery of people and products that are helping us make a difference on board. And that's why we're thrilled to be doing the Monaco show with you again. So what have you got going on at the show, ladies?
So this year, we obviously are very excited to be partnering with Burgess again. Ernie and myself, Catherine and Esther, another one of our fantastic team members, we're going to be at the show. We're going to have sample bouquets and we'll be meeting lots of stewardesses, having conversations with them, showing them the flowers so they can see and feel and touch them. And we can have that kind of wow moment of like, these are already 6 months old. And we're going to be using that opportunity, hopefully, to carry out in-person consultations. So coming on board, seeing the spaces, taking the measurements, that enables us to create that bespoke proposal, that high level of service that we were just talking about. We are also doing the flowers at the Burgess stand again this year. So if you do come by the Burgess stand, you'll see those there. And we are doing the flowers at the official Monaco Yacht Show Crew and Captains Lounge, where I know that a lot of crew will be going to get their meals on board because obviously the galley's out of service during the show. So we'll be there as well. And we're really excited to be offering the Burgess fleet 10% off their order if they confirm their order between now and 3 weeks after the show. We wanted to give you time to discuss with the owner, the captain, etc. after seeing the flowers. But if you can confirm the order, then you will get that special 10% off. And then for any other boats in the show, even if they're not Burgess, we are offering a 5% off discount if we've met you at the show and had a conversation with you about the flowers. So we've got a lot going on and we're really, really excited. This is always the best opportunity of the year for us to meet you in person. And that's kind of invaluable for us.
And to reiterate as well, this won't be the only chance because you've now, Jo, you're based out in the US quite a lot of the time, aren't you? So a chance to be working with yachts that are that side of the pond or heading that way. And you've also got someone in the Middle East too. So there's every opportunity to be talking to people wherever they are in the world. So without further ado, we've actually all got to get back to the work of preparing for a yacht show next week. You've got quite a lot of flowers to put together.
Yes.
So in short, get on the Ethereal Blooms website or get on the Burgess website and type in Ethereal Blooms and you will find some interviews with the team. Get on Instagram, you'll find them there. You've also got another account, haven't you? Blooms at Sea.
We've got our brand Ethereal page, which is at ethereal.blooms. And then we have our yachting specific Instagram, which has got images of flowers that we've made for yachts, plus testimonials from stewardesses who I know that's so useful for stews when you're looking to change and try something new. And that's blooms.at.sea.
Fantastic. Well, I think we've said enough. Hopefully you'll be doubling your impact again by this time next year. But in the meantime, I suggest we all get to work. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Georgina.